In today's video, why you feel miserable on a 1500 calorie diet. All right, guys, today I got a really good question about why someone is struggling to get the fat off that they've recently put on. And they addressed this by telling me that, they've attempted to lower their calories and they feel miserable. And so I want to address to you guys, what are the ways to get around losing body fat without having to suffer with nutrition? Because it's a solution that I found a couple of years ago. A lot of you guys know where I'm going to talk about, cardio and things like that. But I want to talk about how we get around it. There's two major things we can do when we are stuck with fat loss and we want to proceed. So here's the question. So I suddenly gained 13 pounds of gut over the winter holidays without any changes to lifestyle. Sleep is great, activity, cut calories to 1500, added 40-minute walks in the evening to reach 10,000 steps, stepped in the gym, adding sets and reps, still riding the bike for 50 miles a week, lost 5 pounds the first month, then stalled. Scale has been stagnant for 2 weeks. I'm carrying a lot of fluid around the gut and love handles. Feeling absolutely miserable. And every time I try going below 1500 calories, not sure what else to do. So yeah, this is where I find that there is a minimum calorie threshold that will limit our progress. In the past, it's been called starvation mode, but here's what I actually come to know this as. It's called conservation mode. Because what happens when you lower calories so low, your body starts to adapt to that, and that becomes your new norm in regards to how quickly your body processes food. So you'll actually start to get more efficient at extracting calories from the same amount of food. Okay. You'll also find that you start to conserve energy. And this is where I like to use the term conservation mode, because there is no such thing as starvation mode. If there was, no one would ever starve to death, right? We would stop eating and our bodies would stop losing body fat. Obviously, this is not the case. If you don't eat, you wither away. As we've seen many times through, some human history. But what we associate with starvation mode is when we take our calories so low, but yet we stop losing weight. And what I have found is that is through the conservation of energy. Because you're taking in so few calories, your body senses this and it will actually force you to burn fewer calories, meaning you will not move as much, you will not have the energy to do as many things. And so you actually start being less active throughout the day. Even things like hand movements, even things like finding reasons to get up and go. Now, it sounds like you're super active, obviously riding your bike and taking steps. So the two things that I really have focused on to get rid of when it comes to like the waist, this body fat here, if it's watery, that's body fat, right? And unfortunately, to get that body fat off, you've got to find a method. First things first, I didn't hear you say anything about high calorie days. So if your calories are below 1500, my rule of thumb is anytime your calories are below 10 times your body weight, you need to be either having 1 or 2 high calorie days per week. So let's just say you lower your calories to 1350. 2 days a week, I would have your calories at 1850. Yeah, I would bump up your calories by 500 grams. Now, most of that would come in the form of carbohydrates. I'd probably bump up your carbohydrates by 200 grams per day on those days. Why? Because you're so active, right? You're riding your bike, you're lifting weights, you're going for walks. That is going to allow you to burn a lot of calories, but you're conserving right now. You're conserving when you're not doing those activities. So consider that. Consider adding more high calorie days with the benefit from the carbohydrates being, listen, it's going to benefit our metabolism, thyroid function, right? Our thyroid is responsible for a lot of our metabolic functions, your performance. So if you're going for a 50-mile bike ride, that bike ride can look very different based on if you are depleted or if you are energized. You can burn more calories and get more enjoyment out of it. Also, steps. Steps are a great tool, but you're getting a lot of steps that could be then converted into like a high incline walk or an elliptical where you can burn as much as twice as many calories in the same amount of time. So by eating a little bit more, you give yourself the energy to perform and your body's going to respond that way. So don't just look at fat loss as eat less, move more. There are times where you have to toggle those switches. Eat more, move less, allow the body to propel itself forward. If you haven't watched my videos on the diet break, which is basically based on the research from the Matador study, where we bring calories up to your expected maintenance, bring your cardio down to your expected maintenance for a full week. I've seen remarkable things with my clients who are focused on fat loss and we go into a maintenance week or a diet break week, they actually start to lose body fat. Why is that? Well, because their body was in conservation mode, and then it goes into activity mode, and you start to burn more calories, you start to sleep better. And those excess calories can be the difference between being stalled and seeing real progress. Now, if you need anything from me personally, I'm gonna put a link below, set up a free consultation. Let's work on those fat loss goals, and hopefully these 2 tips can really help you on your way, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.